Good afternoon to you all. Welcome back from the lunch break. And I hope you're still awake for this afternoon session. Okay. So I'm going to focus my presentation on the face of my opportunity. And right there, that's the face of my opportunity. That is my mother. And she was the very first opportunity I encountered in my life. And for so many times, I took for granted the fact that I was able to be educated in Uganda. And then unconsciously, I never worried about so many things and so many basic provisions. But then also, I would like to acknowledge that many of us here in this room have never been accorded or have not been accorded the familiarity or the privilege of having the certainty with them, and this for one reason or another. So, and of course, with that background, upon completion of my Bachelor of Architecture degree in 2014, I thought I knew what I wanted. And of course, one of the biggest things in my mind was, I have to do something for my mother. I have to buy her a big house. I'll have to plant her a lot of matoke. And then of course, maybe try and get myself a decent motorcycle to explore my beautiful country. So I set upon that path because by then I thought that was it for me. And I started work at a very marketable architectural practice in Kampala. And for 4 months, what I was doing was rendering the shiniest commercial plazas in Kampala. And I was, recommending the most silent AC units in the building. I was ordering the shiniest glass from China in a very tropical country. And you know what? Who was that benefiting in my country? It was benefiting less than 80%, and these are called the privileged people in just the capital city. And this is the trend with all professions, and this is the trend with everyone. You cater for the less, that's the 80% in the urban centers, and you ignore the remaining almost 92% that resides in semi-urban or rural areas. So with that in mind, and then of course reflecting upon the promises I made to my mom, I realized what is my position in all this? So I started work in a non-profit organization, and its aim was to construct 20,000 learning spaces. And with my background in architecture, I thought, why not begin this change? And then, of course, with my love for the natural environment, and you can see this is inspired by my mother, she loves the natural environment, and with my love for education, I decided this is what I wanted to do, to construct learning spaces for children where they can be educated about the environment in a very pleasant and sustainable learning space. So, and just to give you a little insight of the landscape and the children of southwestern Uganda. And a little background on southwestern Uganda. In the early 1990s, this area was hit, one of the areas hardest hit by HIV and AIDS. And of course, this led to a lot of broken families, and it sort of stunted the economic development of this particular area. So, what was the aim of this organization? I'm told it was to create sustainable learning spaces. And how were we supposed to do that? And so we set out with having our goals in mind, and who are we supposed to do this with? That was, our available resource was the government, and then it was the community itself. And with all these ideas in mind, and as romantic as this relationship may seem with the community and the government, it was the hardest part of getting started. Getting everyone on board and getting everyone to accept what you're about to do. But eventually we started our work, and the school started rolling on. And our basic principles was to share the message of sustainable living and sustainable design in the education system so that the children are inspired from the very beginning in the spaces they learn from that are passively designed, that encourage a lot of outdoor learning spaces, that encourage a lot of interaction with the natural environment, and then with a lot of exterior outdoor learning spaces, and use of materials that were locally sourced. Here you can see that we try to use as much as possible the red brick in construction, which is locally manufactured within southern Uganda. And then also to focus on a lot of renewable energy. And what were our sources of energy? This was the biogas, and then what we brought in was the solar power. So, and with that in mind, I always reflect about right now, does that help my mother in a way? Because I started out when all I wanted was to do something for my mom. But so that, does this affect my mother in a way? Maybe not now, but in the long run, I think so. She is a farmer in eastern Uganda. And what does this do for her? And what does this do for my country? So it creates a pool of skilled labor. And of course, with skilled labor, it creates an opportunity for access to different services, access to employment, and access to a better way to improve your life. And over the long run, you sort of create a place that is able to sustain itself and that's able to have a higher purchasing power, and of course, to be able to look after the environment. And though the results may be not now for the short run, but in the long run, it affects my mother, whether she'll be there or not, or it will affect me or it will affect my children. And that is what I thought would be the contribution to my mother. So 6 weeks later, 6 weeks of this fellowship, and I'm thinking about who and what is my opportunity here? And what does it mean to me, or what does it mean to the communities I am working for, or the communities you are working for? And that is something I would like to ask you to think about. Who and what is your opportunity right now in this fellowship? So I'll just show you a few faces of my opportunity. And these are people, and all of you have interacted with are my opportunity in this fellowship. And I've just picked upon a few that I feel I've been able to engage with and to work with in terms of how that can affect the work I'm doing back home. And I know all your faces may not be up there. What happened to my presentation? Okay. So these are the faces of my Mandela Washington Fellowship opportunity. And what does that mean to me? So let us look at Bahati. Bahati works with disabled users. And in my community, there are a lot of ambulant users that we designed to use the schools and the community spaces. So my interaction with Bahati has been able to inform my design, and shall inform my design in planning for ambulant users. And what has my interaction with Milha been to me? She caters for a lot of environmental justice, and that has made me very conscious in wanting to plan for my spaces to be environmentally aware. And what has my interaction with Woitse helped me? And then it has helped me realize that even with this project, they need to be a social entrepreneurship aspect to them so that they become self-sustainable. And what has my time at PSU taught me? That there are a lot of resources out there to help empower me and in my work that I'm doing. And I hope for you also has been the opportunity for you. Everyone seated next to you and everyone, even in Portland, that is your opportunity. And it brings me back to the issue of the cycle of opportunities. You are my opportunity, and I am the opportunity to someone else, and this helps to create a cycle of opportunity, not only for me, but for everyone I am working with. And I hope you are reflecting upon that as you are attending this program. So that helps to show a bit of our pool of resources as we have been here at the Mandela Washington Fellowship. And then I would like to end with a note to sort of ask all of you to think about your contribution to your work and anchoring upon the opportunities you have received at Portland State University and within this fellowship. And how should you use this opportunity to make your work more accessible, to make your work more equitable, to make your work more sustainable, so that it's not just an opportunity for you, but it's an opportunity for everyone else. And lastly, I would like to say, also coupled with that food for thought, I would like to say that, and reflecting upon what I had promised my mother, that the opportunity my mother gave me does not end with me, but it's a beginning of creating opportunities for everyone in the community. That's to create a valuable cycle of opportunities. Thank you.